This is the VATRER 100 amp hour lithium iron phosphate 12.8 volt battery, the LM12100. App connection, and it's self-heating. Nice. We got the battery, warranty card, decent sized instruction manual, terminal screws with caps. They even threw in a great deal of cool new stickers. We are going to do a capacity test to see how many amp hours we can get out of this 100 amp hour battery. Hopefully a little bit above 100. Alright, so we are fully charged. Let's get rid of these. Let's do a capacity test using the capacity tester. See how many amp hours we get. As you can see from the VATRER app, the amp hour reading is 101 amp hours. So let's see how many amperes we get. Negative and positive. And we'll do a 10 amp test. First, let's reset the tester. Like that. And we crank it up to 10 amps. Like that. Now let's just let it run. Alright, so we are 2 hours and 20 minutes into the test. Almost 24 amp hours. This is the instructions manual. Different languages. Let's do English. Feel free to take a screenshot of the specifications. It's got some useful information on it. MPPT setup, temperature and storage information, parallel and series connection. You can add up to 10 pieces in parallel for, of course, for a 48 volt in series. This is what they recommend for the series connection. Pretty straightforward. This is for parallel connection using a busbar system, which is something I recommend. Without the BMS, turn on the heating automatically inside the battery to ensure the battery runs in the best condition when starting charging. When the temperature is lower than 32 degrees Fahrenheit or 0 degrees Celsius. It's the charging current that provides the electricity for the heating film or pads inside. The charging current should be more than 10 amps. Right, get your discharge curves, charging characteristics, depths of discharge. There. This is the instructions for the app. It was pretty straightforward. Just download the app and it will automatically find the battery and connect. Yeah. Let's do the capacity test and run some more tests. I love to test the self-heating function, see how it performs. Yeah. Alright, so we're getting closer to the end of the capacity test. Right there. So 10 hours and 24 minutes. 104.33 amp hours. That is a solid pass for the VATRER lithium iron phosphate battery. We're going to run some more tests before we open it up and take a look inside. Alright, for our next test, we are going to test the self-heating function of the VATRER battery by using a Weaver compressor fridge. It almost fits. Set it. -10. It's gonna take a while before it gets cold, so we're just gonna put the battery in the box and monitor the VATRER app and see what happens. Alright, so the cooler is wrapped, sealed as much as I can with some solid thick plastic. Now let's just monitor the app. Alright, so the internal temperature of the battery reached 0 degrees Celsius and the low temp protection kicked in. So I took the battery out of the freezer and it reached the internal temperature at 0 degrees Celsius. And as you can see, the heater pad is using some of the charging current to heat up the battery again. So it seems the temperature is rising, and well, that works. Alright, so let's cut it open and take a look inside. Alright, so we got it open, crimped, tightened, looks good. And it looks like the entire battery pack, including the BMS, is wrapped inside this shrink wrap. I'll do my best to get this battery pack out of the enclosure and we'll take a look. It's really in there. I had to cut open the wrapping and pull out this cube thingy, battery packy kind of thing. Let's cut it open and take a look inside. And we're in. It wasn't easy, but we're in. Alright, so this is the BMS. Balance leads, temp sensors, and this is for the heating pads. They are located on the side, right here. The other side. Terminals are bolted. If you somehow manage to get inside the battery and want to swap out the cells, that's no problem. Torqued and marked for quality control. It's reassuring. There's the temp sensor. We'll take it out and we will do some more tests. Alright, so we got the temp sensor right here with a small charge using the DC power supply. We're going to first try to trigger the high temp protection using a heat gun. Let's see what happens. And it cut off. Let's see if it starts again. Yeah, there we go. Let's do it again. Yeah, it's working. So high temp protection is a pass. Now let's put the sensor in some frozen salt water and see if the low temp protection is working. Right, so we got some frozen salt water right here. It's still charging. Now let's put the temp sensor into the little hole in the ice. See if it cuts off. low temp protection is not working. Best guess is the heater function is ignoring the low temp protection when charge below its threshold is introduced. I'll reach out to VATRER and ask them if that is the case. Anyway, let's put this thing back together. Alright, so the VATRER battery is all patched up and ready to go. Regarding the low temp protection, I heard back from VATRER and they said that everything is normal. The low temp protection issue is not an issue. It's the logic in the BMS works in a way that as soon as there's a charge introduced to the battery, the heater function in the BMS takes over and it's looking for enough current to heat the battery back up. If there's no charge introduced to the battery, the temperature goes below 0 degrees, it goes into low temp protection. Alright, now let's just for fun do a simple load test using an inverter and our clamp meter to test the output. See if we can get it to cut the power when we draw too much current. Right. So hooked up an inverter, clamp meter, and we're going to use a heat gun. Turn the inverter on, clamp meter, DC amp reading, plugging in the heat gun. Now let's just put it in fan mode. Five amps, 65 amps. Now the next level should trip the overcurrent protection in the BMS. Now let's see. Yeah, there we go. 145 amps. See if it resets. It does. Let's do it again. Five amps. 66 amps. And 147, 46-ish. And it cuts off. The overcurrent protection is working. It's great. Alright, so to recap, the 12.8 volt 100 amp hour lithium iron phosphate battery from VATRER is in my opinion, solid battery. The build quality is pretty much excellent. They've used bolts instead of welded terminals inside the battery. Makes it somewhat serviceable. The heating function is a nice touch. I would like it a lot better if they added a low temp protection when there's low current coming into the battery. Make sure we got enough solar or a big enough charger to keep this thing running and the heater function working flawlessly. Alright, so I'll leave links in the description below. Any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. Like this video if you like the video. Watch these two videos next because YouTube wants you to. And I'll see you in the next one.